This podcast is brought to you by The Senior Techie, a source of information for seniors and others about technology.
Glad to be here.
So, I want to start with a rather unsettling reality to consider right at the top of the show.
Okay, let's hear it.
Right now, as you are listening to this, nearly 2/3 of adults over the age of 50 have not digitally secured their most vital, irreplaceable documents.
Wow. 2/3.
Yeah. We are talking about the estate plans, the medical directives, and, those fragile, one-of-a-kind photos of your grandparents or your own grandchildren.
The things you literally cannot replace.
Exactly. And on a completely different but equally frustrating note, there is a very high probability that you are currently paying $15 or $20 a month for a streaming service or some random app that you haven't actually opened since last Thanksgiving.
Oh, absolutely. It is the invisible drain. I mean, it drains your finances quietly in the background, and it leaves your most precious memories incredibly vulnerable to, well, just a single spilled cup of coffee or a dropped phone.
Right. And we fall into this trap where we think we have a handle on it because of the what I call the weekend warrior approach.
Oh, the big Saturday cleanup.
Yes. You know the scenario. You wake up on a Saturday, pour a huge cup of coffee, and decide today is the day.
Today, I conquer the computer.
Exactly. You spend 6 exhausting hours aggressively sorting through years of digital photos. You wrestle your email inbox down to 0, and you finally migrate all those random sticky notes with your passwords into a safe digital vault.
And you feel great about it.
You go to bed feeling like a champion of productivity, but fast forward 6 months, you look at your phone, and the inbox is glaring at you with 400 unread messages.
Yep, it always creeps back.
And your tablet is popping up warnings that storage is almost full because, well, you've taken 24 blurry photos of your thumb that you never deleted. The chaos is completely back.
And the frustration there is completely understandable. It often leads to a sense of total defeat.
Because you put in the work.
Right. You put in the grueling hours, you see the mess return, and your brain naturally concludes that the effort was just a waste of time. It makes a lot of seniors, and frankly, people of all ages, just want to throw their hands up and accept the digital clutter as a permanent state of being.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission today on the Senior Techie podcast is to completely dismantle that cycle. We are not setting you up for another exhausting marathon of spring cleaning.
Definitely not. Nobody wants that.
No, nobody has the energy, the time, or the desire to sacrifice a beautiful Saturday to a computer screen. Instead, we are exploring a highly strategic, stress-free routine specifically tailored to help seniors protect their digital legacy.
And safeguard those memories.
Right, and stop leaking money to forgotten subscriptions. It is a fundamental shift from trying to clean a mess to simply maintaining a baseline.
And that shift requires looking at why those weekend warrior sessions fail in the first place. Because, we tend to blame ourselves.
Oh, for sure. We think we're just lazy.
Right. We assume we just lack the discipline to stay organized. But the failure isn't a lack of willpower. It is a reliance on fundamentally flawed systems.
Okay, say more about that.
Well, the Senior Techie points out that the vast majority of productivity advice you find online or, in glossy magazines, it asks for a level of daily rigidity that human beings simply aren't wired to maintain.
Yeah, I always look at those elaborate color-coded folder systems people post online and think I'm just missing the organizing gene.
You're really not.
It's like when you decide the garage is a disaster, so you drive to the hardware store and spend $200 on heavy-duty industrial-grade organizing bins.
Oh, I know this trap.
You bring them home, stack them up, and feel incredibly accomplished. You've got the bins.
But you haven't actually organized anything.
Exactly. You just bought a more expensive matching container to hold the exact same random junk. And because you haven't changed how you handle tools when you are done with them, well, the workbench is covered in clutter again a week later.
That is a perfect analogy. The container is never the solution if the underlying behavior remains the same. And those elaborate digital folder systems suffer from the exact same flaw.
They just look nicer for a day or two.
Right. Because they require a massive amount of decision-making energy. Every time a new email arrives, a complex system demands you evaluate it, categorize it, and file it perfectly.
Which sounds exhausting.
It is. Psychologically, that introduces decision fatigue. By Tuesday evening, your brain is tired, so you just leave the email in the general inbox, promising to file it later.
And then the pile starts growing again.
The system shatters the moment you experience a busy day. Simple will always be perfect because simple requires less cognitive load.
That makes a lot of sense. But I want to unpack another hurdle here. Whenever I realize my digital life is a mess, my instinct is to wait for a clean slate.
Ah, the perfect starting point.
Yeah. I tell myself I can't start a 5-minute daily maintenance routine when I currently have 6,000 unread emails. I have to get back to zero first, and then I'll maintain it.
That is the single biggest trap in digital organization. Waiting for the elusive perfect time to begin.
It never comes, does it?
Never. The idea that you must achieve a pristine starting line before you can implement a good habit is a massive roadblock. The senior techie emphasizes strongly that you have to start right in the middle of the mess.
Let me push back on that, though. If my photo library has accumulated 10 years of unsorted, duplicated, chaotic pictures, and I start spending just 2 or 3 minutes a day on it,
It feels pointless.
it feels like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. How does that tiny effort ever make a dent in a 10-year backlog if I don't sit down and aggressively tackle the mountain?
It comes down to the underlying mathematics of accumulation and the psychology of momentum. The reason your digital mess feels overwhelming right now is because it is growing 24/7.
Right, it never stops.
Every single day, your phone receives new spam, you take new photos, you download new PDFs, the pile is actively expanding. When you implement a tiny daily maintenance habit, your primary goal isn't actually to clean the 10-year-old mess.
What is it then?
Your primary goal is to freeze the pile in its tracks.
Oh, I see. You are stopping the bleeding first.
Precisely. Once you stop new clutter from burying the old clutter, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer fighting a growing monster.
Yeah, you've capped it.
Exactly. And what happens neurologically is quite fascinating. When you spend just a few minutes easily organizing today's photos, your brain registers a small victory without the exhaustion of a marathon session.
It feels doable.
That low-effort consistency builds confidence. Over a few weeks, once you are comfortably handling the daily influx, you naturally start chipping away at the old backlog because the dread is gone. The habit itself creates the clean starting point you are waiting for.
We have to find a way to actually remember to do this, though. If the secret is tiny, consistent habits, the challenge becomes remembering to do them without, setting 36 annoying alarms on my phone.
Oh, please don't do that.
Right. Carving out a brand new, dedicated block of time every day just for digital chores sounds like a recipe for failure.
It absolutely is, which is why behavioral psychologists recommend a technique called habit stacking. You do not rely on raw willpower to remember a new task.
Because willpower runs out.
It's a finite resource that depletes as the day goes on. So instead, you piggyback your new, tiny digital task onto an existing habit that you already perform automatically every single day without fail.
Because the brain already has a well-worn neural pathway for the existing habit.
Yes. Your brain's basal ganglia basically runs your established routines on autopilot. Making your morning coffee, brushing your teeth, sitting down to watch the evening news, these happen with zero friction.
So we just attach the tech stuff to that.
Habit stacking simply attaches a rider to that train. While the coffee's brewing, which is a 2-minute window where you are just standing in the kitchen anyway, you glance at your phone and delete yesterday's blurry photos.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Or, the moment the evening news goes to its first commercial break, you unsubscribe from one single junk email list. You fuse the new tech habit to an old physical ritual.
I like how that brings the abstract idea of digital maintenance into the physical rhythm of my real life. It grounds it.
It makes it tangible.
Let's look at how we scale this up. We have these tiny daily tasks fused to our coffee routines. But the senior techie points out we also need a weekly pass, a slightly broader look.
The weekly routine is essentially your baseline defense mechanism. It requires about 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes.
Just 10. Think of it as wiping down the kitchen counters on a Sunday night. You are not pulling out the appliances and scrubbing the baseboards. You are simply wiping up the crumbs so you don't wake up to an ant problem on Monday.
That sounds manageable.
Sunday evenings are universally effective for this because it provides psychological closure to the week.
What are we actually doing in those 10 minutes, though? Because 10 minutes goes by fast.
You focus on the inbox triage. You scan for obvious junk that slipped past the spam filters and delete it. If there's an email that requires you to actually do something, like a medical bill you need to pay, or an email from a grandchild you want to reply to, you move it to a specific action folder.
Action folder. Got it.
And everything else gets archived. The goal is just to clear the visual noise. When you open your tablet on Monday morning, you aren't greeted by a wall of bold, unread text shouting for your attention.
It sets the tone for the week. So the daily tasks are the micro moments. The weekly sweep is a 10-minute counter wipe. But eventually, we have to deal with the bigger stakes,
The
right?
heavy hitters.
Yeah, the things that actually impact our legacy and our wallets. This brings us to the monthly routine.
The monthly routine takes about 20 minutes. And for seniors, this is where the most critical protective measures take place.
Walk me through it.
The first half of that 20 minutes is dedicated to a photo and document sweep. You pull up everything you've accumulated over the last 30 days. You aggressively delete the accidental screenshots, the pictures of parking lot signs you took to remember where you parked.
Oh, my phone is full of parking spot photos.
Exactly. Delete those. And the out-of-focus shots.
Huh.
You curate it down to the memories and documents that actually matter. But curation is only half the job. You then must ensure those critical files are backed up to a secondary location.
Like moving them to Google Photos, Apple iCloud, or physically plugging in an external hard drive.
Yes.
This connects back to that startling statistic from the top of the show. The senior techie highlights a survey from OTS, the Older Adults Technology Services affiliated with AARP. 60% of adults over 50 admit they haven't gotten around to saving their important documents digitally.
It leaves a massive vulnerability in a family's infrastructure.
It really does.
If a senior's entire collection of family history, photos of relatives who passed away, irreplaceable videos of family reunions alongside crucial things like living wills or property deeds, if all that exists solely on one physical iPad, the risk is astronomical.
Because things happen.
Devices get dropped in water, they get left on airplanes, their internal hard drives simply fail from old age. When that device dies, the history dies with it.
That's heartbreaking.
It is. And the reason 60% of people put this off is that digitizing and backing up a lifetime of memories feels insurmountable. But by breaking it down to just curating the last 30 days, once a month, you are securing your digital legacy in real time.
I want to talk about the mechanics of that backup for a second, because the phrase backing up to the cloud is thrown around constantly.
It is, yeah.
I look at my phone, and buried in the settings, there is a little toggle switched on that says it is automatically syncing to the cloud. If my device claims it is doing this 24/7 in the background, why is this something I need to actively manage every month? It feels redundant.
Passive reliance on automated technology provides a very dangerous illusion of safety.
Illusion of safety.
Yes. Cloud services are designed to sync automatically, but they are not infallible magic. They're just servers owned by other companies, and the connection between your phone and their server breaks down frequently, often without giving you a clear warning.
Give me an example of how that happens invisibly.
Imagine cloud storage, like renting a physical storage unit across town. You hire an automated moving company to drop off a box there every night.
Okay, sounds great.
But eventually, that unit fills up. You hit your data limit, the automated movers arrive, see the unit is full, and just leave your new boxes out in the rain.
No, wow.
Your phone might flash a tiny storage full warning once, but if you swipe it away and forget, the syncing simply stops. You could go 8 months thinking your new photos are safe in the cloud, only to drop your phone in a lake and realize everything from the last 8 months was never backed up.
That would be a disaster.
Or an automatic software update on your tablet unexpectedly logs you out of your account, pausing the sync. Actively managing this once a month takes the power back. You aren't blindly trusting the machine. You are verifying the safety of your own assets.
Don't trust, verify. That is a great rule for tech in general. Now, there is another major component to this 20-minute monthly check-in, and it directly addresses the wallet. We need to do a financial sweep.
Yes. During that same 20-minute window, you pull up your monthly bank and credit card statements. You aren't doing a deep dive into your entire budget. You are exclusively scanning the itemized list for unfamiliar recurring subscription charges.
This is a huge trap. The entire modern software industry has shifted to the subscription model. You used to buy a program once on a CD-ROM.
Remember those?
Barely. Now, everything from a weather app to a digital newspaper to a recipe site wants a small, seemingly harmless monthly fee.
And they rely entirely on the limits of human memory. The business model depends on you signing up for a free 7-day trial to read one specific article or watch one particular documentary and then simply forgetting to cancel.
And it's usually such a small amount.
Exactly. They know that a charge of $4.99 is small enough that it might not trigger an alert from your bank, but large enough that over a year it extracts $60 from your account for a service you haven't used since the day you downloaded it.
That adds up fast.
For seniors living on fixed incomes, where every dollar in the budget has a designated purpose, Bleeding $50 or $100 a month to phantom subscriptions is a serious issue.
Absolutely.
Catching it during a monthly 20-minute sweep costs you nothing. Catching it 18 months later is incredibly frustrating.
It's essentially plugging the slow leaks in the hull of your digital boat.
Yeah.
So the daily micro habits keep the clutter from accumulating. The weekly 10-minute wipe down keeps the inbox manageable. The monthly 20-minute sweep protects the legacy and the budget.
That's the rhythm.
Logically, that leaves us with the quarterly review. Now, if the others are quick wipe downs, I imagine a quarterly checkup is where we roll up our sleeves and do the really heavy, miserable lifting, organizing the messy folders, renaming hundreds of files, that sort of thing.
Actually, it is the exact opposite.
Really?
If you have been maintaining your weekly and monthly rhythms, there is no heavy lifting left to do. The clutter never had a chance to form. The 1-hour quarterly checkup is purely a diagnostic check.
Ooh.
The senior techie likens it to taking your car in to get the tires rotated. You don't need to do it every time you drive, but if you ignore it for 3 years, the tread wears unevenly, the ride gets incredibly bumpy, and eventually a tire blows out on the highway.
So what are we looking for under the hood during this hour?
You start with an app and program audit across your devices. You scroll through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. You ask a simple question. Have I opened this program in the last 3 months?
And if the answer is no,
You delete it.
why does an unused app actually matter, though? I mean, if I have 128 gigabytes of storage and the app is just sitting there dormant, isn't it harmless?
It rarely just sits there dormant. Many apps, even when you aren't actively using them, run background processes.
And like what?
Well, an old weather app you downloaded for a vacation 2 years ago might still be pinging your phone's GPS antenna every 30 minutes to check your location, or attempting to download data updates.
Even if I'm not opening it.
Exactly. This silently drains your battery life, consumes processing memory, which makes your device run slower, and poses a totally unnecessary data privacy risk. Deleting unused apps instantly optimizes your device's performance.
Okay, that makes it highly motivating to clear them out. What's the next diagnostic?
A review of your password manager. We know that relying on the same password for your bank as you use for your online gardening forum is a massive security risk. So you check your digital vault.
Just to make sure it's updated.
Right. Did you create any new accounts over the last quarter that you forgot to log properly? Or do you have stored logins for websites that went out of business 5 years ago?
Good point.
You clean that database out so your security tools are sharp and up to date. You also take this time to review those subscriptions again, but with a different lens. Not just, do I recognize this charge, but am I actually still getting value from this charge?
But the most critical part of this hour, connecting back to the storage unit analogy earlier, is the backup verification.
Yes. This is the moment you test the system.
Yeah.
A backup that has never been tested is not a backup. It is merely a wish.
A wish. I love that.
You have to prove to yourself that your fail-safes actually work in the real world.
How do you practically test it without risking the original files, though?
You use a different device. If you back up your phone's photos to a cloud service, go to a desktop computer, open a web browser, log into that cloud account, and physically look for the photo you took yesterday.
Just to see if it made it.
Right. Can you see it? Can you open it? If you use a physical external hard drive, plug it in, open the folders, and verify that the medical document you dragged over there last month is fully accessible.
That makes total sense.
Taking 30 seconds to visually confirm that your digital life safely made the journey across the wire provides a massive, tangible wave of peace of mind.
The challenge with a quarterly task is that it only happens 4 times a year. It is incredibly easy for 3 months to slip by and completely forget that it's time to rotate the digital tires.
So easy to forget.
How do we anchor these invisible tech chores into reality?
You have to bridge the gap between your physical space and your digital chores.
Yeah.
Good intentions fade the moment you get a stressful phone call or, the grandkids come over.
Life happens.
Exactly. You need a physical cue. The single most effective action a listener can take today is to grab a bright, sticky note, write these simple routines on it, and stick it directly to the refrigerator.
It turns a vague idea into a concrete appointment.
Yes.
Writing Sunday night, 10 minutes on inbox on a physical calendar works because every time you walk through the kitchen, you see it. The method of the reminder doesn't matter, whether it's a fridge note or a paper planner, as long as it exists in the physical world to prompt the digital action.
Completely agree.
Let's fast forward a bit. Imagine a senior listening to this decides to try it. They put the note on the fridge. They habit stack their daily photo delete to their morning coffee. They do the 10 minutes on Sunday, the 20 minutes once a month, and the quarterly diagnostic.
They're doing the whole system.
Right. 3 months from now, what is the psychological payoff? What does their relationship with their technology actually feel like?
The transformation is profound, and the primary feeling is the total absence of anxiety. The inbox stops feeling like a threatening, insurmountable to-do list. When you pick up your phone, your heart rate doesn't jump because you aren't bracing for a storage full warning.
The technology goes back to being a tool rather than a demanding pet that constantly needs feeding and cleaning.
That is the ultimate goal. You stop dreading the task of finding an old email or locating a specific tax document from 3 years ago because the underlying architecture of your digital life is sound.
You know exactly where it is.
Right. You aren't aiming for a museum-quality, perfectly color-coded computer. You are aiming for a digital environment that serves you, protects your history, and doesn't drain your bank account. And all achieved without ever sacrificing another weekend to a miserable cleaning marathon. Small, repeatable habits are the quiet engine of peace of mind.
This has provided such a clear, actionable roadmap. We are shifting from reactive panic to proactive maintenance. And next week, we are going to wrap up this digital maintenance series with some really vital topics.
Looking forward to it.
We will be discussing the easiest, most secure ways to loop your family members into your digital documents. Because having a safe backup means nothing if your loved ones don't know how to access it in an emergency.
That's so critical.
We will also explore the sensitive but crucial topic of digital inheritance and how to safely pass on those legacy items you've worked so hard to protect.
It is a conversation that too many families avoid until a crisis happens, at which point the digital walls make it incredibly difficult to recover those assets.
So, as we wrap up today's conversation, we want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to mull over on your own. Imagine, just for a moment, that you were to lose access to your entire digital life tomorrow.
A scary thought.
Your phone, your tablet, your computer, all gone. What is the single most important photo or the single most vital family document that you would be absolutely devastated for your family to lose forever?
Just think of that one thing.
Do you have that specific image or file pictured in your mind? Now ask yourself, are you 100% sure, right this very second, that it is actually backed up somewhere else?
Finding the definitive answer to that question is the best possible reason to start your maintenance routine today.
This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe by going to subscribe.theseniortechie.com.